We are in conversation with Lumka Oliphant, who's the Acting DDG of Corporate Support Services at the Department of Social Development. We're talking about the improvement from 81% in 2023 to 85.8% in 2024. And that's the no-fee schools that have improved their pass rates. And these are many of their children who would be falling under this department as they're taking care of them. Remember, child support grants are a huge factor in the country. So certainly you are happy with this improvement.
We are very happy with this improvement. It shows a gradual improvement over the years that the social assistance program as a child protection tool is working. It also shows the basket of services of government. Remember, kids get transport, kids get food, kids get social grants, and all of these services are for the making sure that children stay in school. The Department of Social Development through SASSA, we've invested in this particular class 58.9 billion from grade 1 until grade 12. We also are able to track all of our children and be able to tell you exactly which of the grant types are working, most notably as well, not just for the grants, but also the care part of the Department of Social Development. We also have children in conflict with the law who had been in conflict with the law as part of this class. More than 1,000 of them were part of this class that wrote the grade 12 examinations. And that is making us see that the policies that are pro-poor and also the investment in children is beginning to show the desired results. And of course, we are very happy.
When you then look at, some of their circumstances at home, one would not even understand just how much they have to overcome, even just to go to school in some of these instances.
Very true. When we speak about children who are in conflict with the law, it's children who have committed also heinous crimes. But because as a country, we also do not prosecute children as adults. When children commit crime, we then take them to social development for them to be corrected. When we speak about children who are in child-headed households, this also tells us that our orphaned and vulnerable children get the necessary assistance. We have a program called Risiha, where we have in communities where children who are in these homes, we make sure that their homeworks are done, they get food after all the aftercare for children. So the basket of services of social development, this is also telling us that this investment in the poor children of this country is really bearing a lot of fruit.
And it's an interesting story to talk about Mfundo as I wrap with Lumka there and bring in Prof before we wrap up. That's Lumka Oliphant there, who's with the Department of Social Development. But this is an interesting story that you get to see from these children that, one would look at. And the minister was talking about the closing of the gaps there between the different quintiles. And if you're looking at these children from no-fee schools who are performing this well, it's a story that South Africa can tell over time, especially in the process of 30 years. And as I bring in Prof Mary Metcalfe, thank you so much, Lumka, for that. Prof, as we wrap up very briefly, let's talk about your impressions over the overall pass rates and what was presented tonight.
I think the country has a lot to celebrate. Of course, tomorrow is the individual celebrations and disappointments. But as a country, the fact that of the children who make it all the way to grade 12, so many have succeeded is something that we should celebrate. I was very pleased with the minister's opening comments, particularly when she said that the National Senior Certificate results are only one indicator of quality. And within that pass rate, there's a lot of unpicking that needs to be done in terms of what does that quality mean. And that she said her strategic priority is going to be foundation phase literacy and numeracy, because that is the basis of any subsequent improvement. It's the basis of keeping more learners in the system, and it's the basis of building a more inclusive education system.
And it's the basis also of even getting them to take on the subjects that they would ordinarily not be confident in taking.
Yes. So we do have a crisis. We're not meeting our NDP targets in maths and science. And the Minister for Higher Education and Training last week said, what can they do if schools don't produce? Minister Gwahube has set her goal on a long-term process of strengthening maths and literacy right from foundation phase. And I hope that the pressures that the public puts on her in terms of NSC, National Senior Certificate, that she's going to constantly be putting into the public agenda, how are we doing in foundation phase. I was also pleased with her understanding that this proliferation of subjects in the FET phase consumes resources when in fact Department of Higher Education and Training and Basic Education need to work more closely together. We've got limited resources, we've got to be much more strategic.
Prof, thank you so much, and I know you and I are going to still be unpacking a lot of these results in the days to come.